One of the things that would be really useful for everyone to know when they take their final exam is the inverse trig derivatives. And if you're like me, you might not know off the top of your head that the derivative of sine inverse of x is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And because you might not know this, let me quickly show you how to find this on your own, just in case you get into a place on the exam where you need to know this but can't remember it. So if we have y equals sine inverse of x, and we want to find y prime, what we could do instead is first take sine of both sides. Then we get sine of y equals sine of sine inverse, which cancels, equals x. Now we'll just take the derivative of both sides. The derivative of sine of y is cosine of y. And then we multiply by y prime because of implicit differentiation, you may recall. And then the derivative of the right side of x is just 1. Now, we know that y prime would equal 1 over the cosine of y. But what is y? Well, y is the sine inverse of x, remember up here. So y prime is equal to 1 over the cosine of the sine inverse of x. Now, remember, whenever we have the trig function of a trig inverse, we have to resort to the triangle method. So we draw our triangle here. Pretend like this is our angle theta. And originally we had the sine inverse of x. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. And we could think of this as x over 1. So the opposite would be x, and the hypotenuse would be 1. Now we're going to solve for the third side just using the quadratic formula. I'll spare you the details, but we would get the square root of 1 minus x squared. So if theta is the sine inverse of x, then cosine of theta, we would just take adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse would just be the square root of 1 minus x squared over 1. And so we get y prime is equal to 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Yes, it would have been easier just to have this memorized in the first place, but I find it really hard to memorize all of the inverse trig functions. So this is a method that you can use to solve those if you can't remember them. The one other reason why this would be helpful is remember that if we have like the integral of 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared, and we recognize, oh, that's the derivative of sine inverse of x. Well, we know the integral is just the opposite of the derivative, so then we would know that this integral is the sine inverse of x. So that would be another place that it would be helpful for you on the exam. I hope this helps. Tune into my next video if this was helpful for you. Bye.